Good evening. This is Jack for Charting Markets, and this is the bigger picture webinar for the evening of Sunday, the 4th of May. My disclaimer: I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, we saw a nice move up on Friday. Not really watching the trend lines here, but I would note that nice move up. We've got the new weekly pivots on here, and we've got no current negative divergence, and that's the same on NQ, and that's the same on RTY, and that's the same on YM. Ideally, we're now at a level where I'll show you on the bigger picture charts, but we could fail any time. But I'm still leaning towards it going a little higher. I'll show you why, and I'll show you where I'm thinking of. DAX, I've been saying for days that we might be looking at a retest of the high, and we're now pretty close to a retest of the high. I'm thinking we may well see that. On ESTX, still significantly short of that, and probably not going to see it. I would note that on both DAX and ESTX, we've got, sorry, I haven't marked it in, but we've got a little, no, it's a full-size 60-minute sell signal. We've got a full-size 60-minute sell signal on both. Last time we saw a decline, we did actually see that happen on both of these first, and I'm wondering about that. But I would say also that DAX is now very close to a retest of the high. Often you'll find that it will just head straight there when it is that close. All right, we will have a look at the big picture charts. Okay, looking at SPX first. SPX, I'm wondering about a test of the 200 DMA. I've got that in the 50. Hang on, where is that? That is the 54.46 area, and that's actually not a bad match with where the trend line I'm watching is going. No divergence on the hourly chart, apart from a little RSI 5 sell signal. We've got one of these also forming on Qs and on dia, but really, in terms of the kind of divergence I'd like to see at this high, I'd really be looking at least an hourly RSI 14 sell signal. We haven't got that yet, or a daily RSI 5 sell signal, which we could easily see, but we need a retracement first and then a retest. So we've certainly up to a level where we could get a very nice sell signal here, but we would need to see a retracement, ideally to take us back to 70 on the RSI 5, and then going back up. In terms of the trend line, we haven't quite reached the trend line I put in yet. It's basically, obviously, it's a moving target as it's rising. I've currently got that in about the 57.20 to 25 area, and if we take another couple of days to reach it, well, that could easily be in the 57.45 area, where we've got the 200 DMA. On the Qs, we're testing the 200 DMA now. On the hourly chart, no current negative divergence, apart from, obviously, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed here, and we would have another weak one brewing here, actually, if we didn't already have this one. RSI 5 sell signal brewing here. This is the only one really on any of the US indices, and I'd be looking for more than one. On the Qs chart, we've reached the trend line that I was looking at, and we're slightly overthrowing it at the moment. Looking at dia, we've got almost exactly the same. We've reached the trend line now, and we're slightly overthrowing it. We don't have any negative divergence on the RSI 5. We don't have any on the hourly, and ideally we would get some, apart from obviously on the RSI 5. Okay, let's have a look at IWM. IWM, we've got on the daily chart, we're over the 50 DMA, and we are a long way short of the 200 DMA. I'm not expecting to see the 200 DMA tested, although I would note that it's fairly close to this declining resistance. So I've got the declining resistance now in about the 213 area, no, 213.5, 214, and I've got this. I've got the 200 DMA up in, I think it's in the 220 area. No, 215, 216 area. So we shall see how that goes. No divergence on the hourly charts. On the 15-minute chart here, this is the trend line I drew in. It was slightly later than I drew in the other three. But again, we haven't quite reached that yet, and I've got that up in about the 203.5 area. I'm leaning towards that target being made. So one of the reasons I'm still leaning towards going a bit higher here is we haven't reached the ideal trend lines on SPX and IWM. We've got close enough that I'm thinking we're probably going to. Doesn't mean we absolutely have to, and we are in an area which I would describe as a fail in time area. DAX getting very close to a retest of the all-time high. and when it gets this close, you often just see it go get it. Again, very easy to set up a daily sell signal here on the RSI 5, and exactly the same on the Nikkei. Nikkei, I'm wondering about a possible move into the 200 DMA, which I've got at 38,000. All right, let's have a look at DX. DX hasn't really been doing a great deal since we broke up from this IHS, but it's only been a couple of days. Ideally, this would head up and go to this target here in the 101.7 area. On ZB, we had a little head and shoulders. It broke down, and I've got some support up. I've got some support here. Hang on a second. Let's just right. I've got some support here at this trend line here, which I've got a 114.14. The head and shoulder target is at 113.20. And if it breaks down and gets to 113.20 and gets through this trend line here, we may well just be heading back to these lows. We're seeing the mirror of that. Hang on, I'll do bonds first and then currencies, because currencies takes a little longer. But we're seeing the mirror of that here. This looks like this was the spike up when foreign countries were selling their treasuries. And we've got this very nice bull flag formed here. That was a bullish underthrow. We've broken up. Now we could form a larger flag here. But really, I'm leaning towards seeing this head back to 45.92. And then from there, I've got declining resistance here in about the 47.60 area, and then after that, I'd be looking for a retest to 49.97. If we were to see that, then that would respect this channel here. I'd be looking for a possible test of this channel resistance, which is a significant distance up here, and I've got that. Really, it's probably about the 6.3 area at the moment. But more to the point, we could be breaking up from an inverted head and shoulders with a target considerably higher than that. I'm thinking we may well see a bonds crisis this year. I'm thinking it may well start within 2 or 3 months. And I'm thinking we could see a big move up. And this would be the pattern that we would be doing that big move up on. All right, let's have a look at the dollar. Dollar, nice looking little IHS. It's broken up. Couple of days without doing anything while it is testing the daily middle band. If you can get over that, then I've got declining resistance up here in about the 101 area, and I've got the target for the IHS, I think, up in about the 101.6 area. That would be a nice little rise. How much support have we got? Before I move on to the US dollar, we've got a very nice, after we made this high here, I drew in this trend line here, and I've been watching this, and we hit this trend line perfectly. This may well be a bull flag. If it is a bull flag, then of course these tend to break up 70% of the time, and the target for that would be a retest of this high here at 114.78. We may well do that, and if we do, then obviously that would seem to fly in the face of most of what the fundamentals are saying, which is that the dollar's going to go down. What are the other currencies going to say? Because if we do go down, sometimes you see a bull flag break against expectation, and then that effectively turns into the topping pattern and would have a target a long way down from here, in about the 81 area, I think. How likely is that? Let's have a look at the other currencies. Okay, looking at the euro. Euro, this kind of looks like a bear flag, which matches the bull flag on the dollar. If we were to go up here, I'd really be looking for a move up here to this 125.55 area and a possible pullback for a right shoulder or a larger IHS. This is a wedge breaking up. I am expecting this to go higher. And that would mean the dollar went low. The question is, does it retest this low first? All right, looking at GBP, again, we've got a wedge, it's gone up, it's just bottoming out. We've got a pretty nice looking double bottom here already. In the very short term, on the hourly chart though, we'd be looking at a little double top here. So, I mean, that's a two-way thing, but really here, the next obvious target would appear to be double bottom resistance in about the 143.5 area. Looking at USD JPY, this is a fairly bearish looking chart. This is we've got a little double bottom here. Arguably that's broken up, but really it's all about this rising megaphone here. Now, if that megaphone breaks up, then this can go considerably higher. But this megaphone is suggesting that we're going to head down to this support here in about the 115 area, and it's also suggesting that this looks like a bear flag. and could be setting up a retest of the low here at 75.54. I'm quite liking that setup, and of course that is quite a strong match with the dollar going down. USD CAD, beautiful little top here. This is really, really nice. Really nice. And a sustained break below 120 could take this all the way back down to 92 to 93. And that would take us back to the area we were in sort of 2008 and at the 2008 and 2011 lows. Could it get that low? Could be, but of course, like the yen, basically that would be, as it went down here, that would be the Canadian dollar rising against the dollar. I could see that happening. And we've got the pattern to do that right now. So we'll be waiting to see whether it does it. Not much of interest on the others, but these are the ones I'm looking at. But really, particularly USD CAD and USD JPY, these are quite supportive of the dollar going down directly. And I'm wondering whether it may do that. We will see. All right, let's have a look at the CL chart. Now CL, we saw an IHS break up towards 71. Then we formed this head and shoulders, which we were watching as it formed on the pre-market videos. And I said that quite often when you saw a head and shoulder fail, then that was you saw a head and shoulders form in the opposite direction. We saw that here. It broke down, made target. We've gone lower since, and really it's looking for a retest of this low here in the 54.5 area. But we might hold here, and I'll talk about this on the bigger picture chart. And just remember this low here at 55.10. Okay, NG. NG, we've seen a nice rally here. Could this be a bear flag? Yes. Could it just be an oversold bounce? Yes. Do we have a large pattern suggesting higher? Not yet, but we could form an IHS right shoulder, which could give us that. But ideally, we got this trend line here first. Sorry, this level here first in the 3.9 area and do it there. There is a case for the upside here, and I'll talk about that on the bigger picture charts. So let's just go to those, where the case for the upside is this lovely double bottom that broke up and it's got a target in the 5.75 to 6 area. But we're back testing the weekly middle band at the moment. I'm skeptical about it getting over it, if only because we've got a situation where we're probably going into recession in the US, and that tends to be bad for energy prices. Something like 40% of the electricity in the US is produced with natural gas, and it will reduce demand. Does this mean this necessarily has to go down? No, but it's certainly a significant headwind, and this is the obvious resistance to hit here now that it's got back over the daily middle band. So we will see how that goes, and I've got the 50-day MA also in the 3.8 area. I'll be watching that and the weekly middle band at 3.73 very carefully, and we'll see how that goes. Looking at oil, if you think about that low we made, we're making at 55.1. That would be about a test of this trend line here, and I think this is probably I think that low will probably show up on my chart here. So if this is going to be a double bottom, this is about as low as it goes. Because I've got a really nice looking channel here, and I wouldn't be expecting that to break. But if it does go lower, that really opens up downside. How much downside does that open up? Well, an extreme view would be this one, which is I've got this pretty decent looking setup here where it could head down to 35. I'm skeptical about it getting that low. Definitely, I'm skeptical about it getting that low. But I'll watch the trend line. But if we do see a breakdown below that channel support, then we could see this go significantly lower, and we could see this certainly head down to 50, which Trump's been talking about as his ideal target he's going for. Part of the drop tonight is about the Saudis increasing their production, even though prices are down. Frankly, I'm not sure why they're doing that, but we'll see. And of course, with the economy likely going into recession in the US as well, this is all a headwind. And certainly, last time we had a recession, well, we'll do this. So, and it started off obviously from a lower level, and obviously this was much more of a sudden crisis than the current one. But nonetheless, big reversals in the economy tend to be very bad for energies. All right, let's have a look at gold. Now, gold's really interesting because I was talking on the last video about the channel here and about this head and shoulder target down here in about the 31.10 area, and that was looking pretty good. But then on Thursday night, I think, I found this trend line here. So we've got a nice looking wedge support trend line, and this could be a bull flag. And if so, we're now breaking up from that bull flag. Break and convert the monthly pivot here, we could see a move directly back up to the highs. I'm not really seeing a lot of support for that elsewhere, and we could just, of course, come down again and form a larger pattern. But I'm thinking we might be seeing a break up here. And this is one of the things I was thinking we might seeing as we were about to turn down on equities, which I'm still leaning towards doing. Do we have much support for that on silver? Not really. I mean, this could be a bull flag, but it's not a great bull flag, but it's not a bad looking head and shoulders at the moment. So I'm wondering if that might break down. But if it does break down, of course, if that just breaks down slightly, then it could just reject up to the high, which is a good way of getting back to the high. On palladium, getting pretty close to declining resistance. Going to be watching that. This head and shoulders hasn't failed yet. It's getting pretty close. If we get back up over about 966, then it's going to fail. Looking at platinum, been consolidating here. This looks like a head and shoulders, but it's actually, for technical reasons, not a good head and shoulders. I'm thinking this might just be a bullish consolidation before it goes up. HG, I'm thinking this may well be a head and shoulders. Certainly, if we see equities turning down, the economy is not looking as though it's in a good place. I'm really wondering about the downside here. And we will see how that goes. If we're going to see that, then this is a head and shoulders that can take us back directly into a retest this low here at about the 4.07 area. Okay, let's have a look at the metals on the bigger picture charts. Okay, gold. Gold testing the daily middle band. This is a really obvious support level, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it hold it. And with a bull flag apparently breaking up, it looks as though it may well hold it. It may well hold it and just head straight back up. Looking at silver, if we can get over this trend line here at 36, I'd be looking for 38. If this is a bullish consolidation, one of these would be the next obvious resistance. Looking at palladium, palladium, I'm still wondering about a retest this low here at 808. On platinum, we've basically had a 3-year triangle form. It's not a great Elliott wave triangle. Which way would it break? Normally down. And triangles are continuation patterns, but this is an unusual one. We'll see how it goes. But I'd be leaning towards down and possibly towards a retest this low here at 558. We'll see. Looking at copper, we've got a nice looking potential level top here, and I think that may well deliver. No current divergence really, but obviously copper is something which does not tend to prosper in recessions. So if we're going to see a big move back, that would be a good time for it, and the target for that would be in about just under 2.2 to about the 2.3 area. All right, looking at GDX. GDX, I'm still wondering about some more retracements here. But we may well not see it. And if gold's going to break up towards the highs, then that makes it less likely we are going to see it. I've got a nice megaphone here, and I've got support in the 42 area. I am wondering if we might reach that. And I've got a matching one on GDXJ with support in about the 51 area. And I'm wondering if we might see that too. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. All right, KC. We've got a possible weak 6-minute buy signal brewing. We've got a head and shoulders here, which is broken down, and really, as I was saying on the pre-market video on Friday, I'm expecting this to head back up to this high here in the 418, 419 area, or to head down to this target in the 345 area. I think it's likely to be one or the other, and I'm leaning 60-40 towards the downside. Sugar, seeing a bit of a breakdown here. We've got a bit of a rally. We've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fix, but on the bigger picture, we've got a huge head and shoulders breaking down. I'd be very wary about being long sugar at the moment. On CC, we've got a potential level bottom here. Well, it's a double bottom that's broken up, actually. It might potentially make a target. I've got that target up here in about the 11,200 area. And it could make that. If it doesn't, it's probably going to go back and retest this low. So we shall see. ZW, seeing a bit of a rally here, but I'm wondering about it going a bit lower. I'll show you why that is. We've got haven't marked it in because this is new. The market's just opened up again, and I've now got a possible 6-minute sell signal brewing. I'm looking at corn. Wondering again about a bit lower here. This was looking like a bull flag, but no longer. Soy, I'm wondering why on earth it managed to get up here, frankly. This could be a head and shoulders forming, but really, in terms of the trade war, really this should be a lot lower already. I'm not quite sure why it isn't. Looking at cotton, we've got a nice move up here. May well be heading back up into a retest of this high, leading towards seeing that at this point. On lumber, I was talking about this as a potential double bottom, but saying that there's a larger double top, which I was expecting to make target, and I didn't think this would deliver. At the moment, I would say that this is no longer a potential double bottom, so I'm leaning strongly towards lower here. Looking at live cattle, retesting a high here, potential little level top, not an awful lot to say that it's going to break down. I'm thinking this may well just continue up. Lean hogs, head and shoulders, double top rather, trying to break down with a target here, a bit below the monthly pivot at 96. Either it reaches that target or it retests the high again. Likely to be one or the other. Okay, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts and on coffee. Coffee, which is very, very richly valued by historical standards, I'm leaning towards the downside just because this is so stretched to the upside. Do we have targets? Target above? Actually, we've got one slightly above. I've got one up here at about the 4.665 area. We could still see that, and this could be a bull flag forming, but I'd be leaning towards the downside on the bigger picture. Sugar, we've got head and shoulders here, which is breaking down and has got a minimum target of 0.9. I'm a bit concerned it may well go and make that. No current divergence and no particular reason. We've got an old RSI 5 buy signal here on the daily, but I'm not really, having come back down this low, I'm not really taking that particularly seriously as a signal anymore. Looking at cocoa, bigger picture, this is very, very richly valued. We've seen these two highs here in 24, and this, I don't think this is a double top, but I am thinking this might go considerably lower. I'm not seeing much reason for this to go any higher. Looking at the double bottom, we're not really seeing this on the continuous chart, but it's certainly a very nice looking double bottom on the front month. Wheat. Bigger picture, this is a falling wedge, broken up, looks like a bottoming pattern forming, but it would be improved a bit by a retest of this low here at 49550, and I'm thinking we might see that next. We will see how that goes. No current divergence on the daily chart. Looking at corn, again, we've got a falling wedge, again, it's broken up, again, it looks like it's bottoming out. In this particular case, though, it looks as though we might have an IHS here, so this could break up directly. If not, I'd be reading this as a bear flag, which would probably deliver a retest of the low. Likely, we see one or the other. No divergence on the daily chart, but it wouldn't be hard to get some with a retest of this low. We could get a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing. Looking at soybeans, this looks like we've got a falling wedge here again, but this one hasn't broken up yet. Next obvious target within the wedge, excluding fundamentals, would be this wedge resistance currently in the 1100 area. I am wondering if it's going to break down before that. I'm a bit surprised it hasn't broken down already, really, given that so much of soy is made by Americans for the Chinese market, and they're buying all that from Brazil at the moment. And frankly, if the trade war ended tomorrow, they might keep buying it from Brazil. We'll see. All right, looking at cotton. Cotton. We have nice looking falling wedge here, and the next obvious target would be wedge resistance currently in about the 75 area. I'm thinking it may well head straight there. Looking at lumber, this kind of looks like a bear flag, but I haven't got any decent trend lines on it. But we do have, wait a second, we do have a double top that's broken down with a target in the 510 to 520 area, and I'm thinking we may head straight there. I've got this rising support in about the 460 area. Lumber again is something which doesn't tend to prosper in when the economy is shrinking. I'm thinking this may well head lower directly. So I'm leaning towards the downside. I think at least we make this 510 to 520. Continuation down wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. We shall see. All right, in that case, that's a wrap. So everyone take care, and I'll catch you again on Wednesday night.